You're welcome back. Now, the chairman of the Council of Independent Universities in Ghana is asking President Mahama to, as a matter of urgency, change the process through which private university colleges acquire a charter to become fully fledged universities. Professor Kwesi Yanka says the current process of affiliating private universities to already existing government universities makes it difficult to attract foreign investors, with implications for the economy in the long run.
Ghana had its first university college in 1948, when the then University College of Gold Coast was established to provide post-secondary education to Ghanaians. After 14 years of affiliation to the University of London, the university gained its autonomy and became known as the University of Ghana. This system of affiliation was adopted to fine-tune post-secondary education in the country. But the chairman of the Council of Independent Universities, Professor Kwesi Yanka, says this system is obsolete and does not serve the best interest of the country.
You may be a Methodist University College. You are not granting the degree of Methodist University College. You are granting the degree of University of Ghana or Cape Coast or Cairn University and so on. Your self-identity is completely lost. If anybody wants to do business with you, invest in your university, he may think twice. Who am I dealing with? Is it with you or with your master? Who are you? You have no identity whatsoever. I've seen so many investors in private, potential investors in private education walking back with their monies because they don't want to deal with private university colleges. They want fully fledged universities. Secondly, the system of university colleges, in the sense of affiliation, you training your students and giving the degree of another university, has been abolished throughout Africa. There is not one single country in Africa practicing this system to which we are clinging. We have clung for so many years. Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Chad, Niger, Mozambique. It's strange that you attend a conference anywhere and you explain this system to them and say, what, do you still operate this system in this 21st century? It is an obsolete system that no longer exists.
He believes the system of affiliation affects the number of students who apply for admission to the private universities because of the notion that private universities cannot offer the opportunities the public universities offer to their graduates.
It affects intake. Many a time private universities, even as I sit here, we have lots of applications on our desk. It's possible that many of the candidates have also applied to other universities, including the state-owned ones, but will rather wait until they don't get admission to the public universities, and so therefore they decide to apply to us. It may also be purely economic, purely a factor, and a financial factor, namely that they are slightly cheaper, and so therefore it's supposed to be free, if you like, even though it's not free. You pay some user fees, academic user and residential facilities user fees. They think that it's not as expensive as it is. But if you consider the fact that fee-paying students in public universities pay as much fees as they would have paid if they had come to a private university, you realize that there's actually no difference, really, as far as the economic factor is concerned. But yes, it affects our intake because there's a perception that you are a no-good institution. If you were good, you would have been a university rather than a university college.
Professor Yanka also says, despite these challenges, private universities have proved their worth by producing quality graduates. He, however, noted that they are still engaged in dialogue with stakeholders to ensure that private universities are given the same status as public universities.
The technical committee working on the conditions of service for health service workers has presented its report to the Ministries of Health, Unemployment and Labour Relations. The report, which spells out the terms and conditions of health service workers, is expected to be presented to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission by June 12 for negotiations and implementation. The handover of the report comes on the heels of a threat by the country's doctors to resign en masse over the delay by government to institute their conditions of service.
The Ghana Medical Association had earlier threatened to declare themselves out of job over government's delay in finishing them with their conditions of service, which will detail their terms of engagement, both financial and non-financial. The Health Minister, Alex Egbefia, says negotiations will begin immediately.
It is clear that now that we have this document, we will study it, ensure that others also have a look at it. In terms of other institutions and organizations. And once they have done their bit, we will have a document that can be signed by all stakeholders involved in the process. And this will then bring this phase of affairs to an end. And that gives sufficient time for the other agencies to have a look at it, namely the Public Service Department, the Attorney General's Department, and fair wages and salaries. So once they also have some input into it, we are hopeful that we will be in a position to have a document ready for signing very shortly.
Employment and Labour Relations Minister Haruna Idrisu, however, says the process has nothing to do with the threats by the Ghana Medical Association.
Let me assure the GMA that we as government, we are not doing this because of a threat of a strike action, not at all. We are bequeathing to health workers unacceptable conditions of service to be negotiated because we believe it's the right thing to do as a government and a deserving thing and appropriate thing for all health workers. Matters relating to transfer, promotion, salaries, allowances must naturally be determined within an acceptable framework within our labor rules and regulations.
Meanwhile, Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Justice Yankson, maintains the association stands by its June 30 deadline to have its members resign en masse if they are not finished with their conditions of service.
What really matters is the details that will be negotiated by the various groups. Let's say GMA goes to negotiate something on behalf of the doctors. It is the detail that we'll negotiate and sign that is really what is important. Well, we have made our statements known to the whole world. So we are just cooperating with the processes such that come the day of our deadline, everything would have been satisfied by then.
Which the deadline is 12 June?
No, we said 30th June. We communicated that as far back as November 2014, and we are still on course. We think that we'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt and make sure that the document is well sorted out. I'm just hoping that things will progress between now and the 30th of June, that's all.
Well, let's talk sports now. And FIFA President Sepp Blatter is resigning just 5 days into his new tenure. Now, he made the declaration at a surprise press conference on Tuesday. Now, according to Mr. Blatter, the mandate he had been given, quote, does not seem to be supported by everyone in the world. Hence, his decision to step down as president, adding the body needs profound restructuring. Now, meanwhile, World Cup's longest partner, Coca-Cola, has welcomed the decision by Mr. Blatter to resign, describing it as a positive step. The twist to the whole issue, however, is that the FIFA president, Sepp Blatter, is being investigated by U.S. officials as part of their inquiry into corruption at the World Football Body just hours after his resignation. Let's have an understanding of what this means to the World's Football Governing Body and the sport as a whole. Joining me in studio to do that is Redwan Ibrahim Asante of our sports desk. Redwan, good morning.
Good morning.
So, well, I was shocked. I'm sure a lot more people were surprised that Mr. Blatter had resigned.
Absolutely. We never saw it coming, especially when he pulled 133 votes from the Congress. That was last Friday. And then it was supposed to go into the second round of voting. But, you know, Prince Ali bin Al Hussein decided to, discontinue from the race, and he retired. So Sepp Blatter, was re-elected for a 5th term for another 4 years. But then he predicted it. He said this was going to be probably the toughest time, in FIFA's history, because the allegations never cessated. There was no cessation to the allegations. We had back-to-back reports, and especially, the South African letter also didn't do the image of FIFA any good. Yes, South Africa said they paid $10 million as required by FIFA, and they paid that money. There was admission that yes, they had received payment of the $10 million as instructed by the World Football Governing Body, but then it was not bribe. It was for something else. That's to develop, a project in the Caribbean. So there was who was telling the truth. We didn't know. The allegations kept on piling up, and so Blatter, to the shock of the whole world, decided to call it quits and say, before the 10th of the year, I'm going to step down as president of FIFA. Good, but I think that's my own analysis. Smart move by Sepp Blatter. In world politics, we've seen the likes of Vladimir Putin when criticisms were mounting and he just couldn't stand. He decided to go, and then he brought in Medvedev. After how many years? He came back, to take charge of Russia again, and he's now controlling affairs from Kremlin. So we've seen the examples worldwide, and even in Ghana, when Ato Ahoy came under a lot of pressure, they just decided to take a backstage and then put somebody there. That's what Blatter has done. He's single-handedly, in consultation with the other key members of FIFA, he's going to pick his successor. He'll go through the democratic process. He's going to be voted for by the associations, and then, or the federations, and then he's going to be the next FIFA president. But Blatter would have left, with a clean sheet, quote unquote, with a clean sheet, and can be able to orchestrate events, from, the curtains, behind the curtains, and that's what he's going to do. Just this morning, we understand that the FBI, has said he's under investigation, that Blatter has been investigated. We don't know what the investigations entails. We've not been told, what and what. But also we have two former, FIFA executives, and also two, sports marketing, gurus. With the FBI, Interpol has issued a red alert for their arrest, of those 4 people. So, it's just that people around Blatter are being picked up, but Blatter himself is a clean man. And what he's done now in chess, we call something checkmate. He's been able to checkmate, Michel Platini. This was a man who had a one-on-one meeting with Michel Platini, that's the boss for the European Confederation, that's UEFA, and had a one-on-one meeting, which means, he knows, he just can't, write people. He doesn't disrespect, opponents. He has respect for, other competitors as well, and he wants the good of the game. If everybody is talking about me, Sepp Blatter, I will leave. FIFA will stop being talked about in the media, and then it's a new phase for FIFA. And he's going to lead the charge anyway. He's appointed Domenico Scola. He's going to sort out things with him in trying to put in place the reforms. So by December, he hands over, and it's going to be a clean
exactly.
system.
So I was trying to find out what happens next. He's resigned now. So what is going to happen?
He's decided to resign, but he's not resigned with immediate effect.
Okay.
But
so it will take a while.
It will take a while.
Okay.
But there can be a dramatic twist.
Okay.
Look at countries like Seychelles Island, countries like Mauritius, Madagascar, who had no say in world football, who didn't have, better or playable fields. Blatter's contribution to Africa and to Asia, all these countries had a say. Even referees from Seychelles, Madagascar, Mauritius, were being considered. So when it gets to that, point, in the next 2 months, what about if all these associations from third world countries especially, or mostly, come out and say, Blatter, we don't want you to step down because we don't trust whoever is going to be the next president. We feel the game, is going to be exterminated if you are not around.
So you think he may be forced to stay on?
It can happen. It's a probability or a possibility. I mean, we shouldn't rule that out. True. It's just a matter of days and time. So if that happens, and Blatter says, you know what, I think the voice of the people is the voice of God. They want me to stay on, so I'm going to stay on. What happens then, to world football?
But there also has been a lot of talk about, fine, before you go anyway, there has been a lot of talk about corruption in FIFA. And there's been quite a number of issues. And like you mentioned rightly, a number of people have been picked up already. Now, many are looking at the bigger picture, how this is going to affect the game, how this is going to affect FIFA as a body. Do you think it's going to really have an effect on FIFA? And probably even the resignation of Blatter, could this tilt things in any way?
The primary, let's say, the first point we look at a football match, it's not about who is the FIFA president. It's about the goal being scored, the skills, the dribbles, etc. We don't care about whether FIFA boss is a Blatter. People really, it's a secondary issue. Primary issue is that is the football match being played? Are we winning the tournament? Are we giving what is due? That's what we think. Currently, we've got the FIFA Under-20 World Cup ongoing in New Zealand. Yeah. We watched the Black Lions play yesterday. We were all happy with the way they won against Argentina. We didn't care whether Sepp Blatter was FIFA president or not. We've got the Women's World Cup taking place in Canada in a few days' time. We don't care who is the FIFA boss. So far as the structures are in place, the football events will go on fair due. We're okay with that one. And we really don't care. But then what will be is the image issue. Is the image of FIFA battered? Yes, it's been battered. But are they substantial? Can anybody substantiate those allegations? We are yet to see. The FBI says it's still conducting investigations. Let's see if it's indicted or incriminated. When it says that it happens, then we can say, yes, Sepp Blatter is corrupt or FIFA is corrupt. But this is an association of individuals. So, like Blatter said in his speech, acceptance speech when he was re-elected, he said
them as individuals.
Yes, those are in a minority. So let's pick those bad guys out. It's like in a society. We've got bad guys in the society. Indeed. Let's identify them. Let's look at those areas, and then pick them out, and then we deal with them. And that's what Sepp Blatter is calling for.
Redwan, thank you very much for that. Redwan Ibrahim Asante is with Joy Sports here at the Multimedia.